you could have it sitting on a shared drive, and people can access it that way. You can also use what's called Tableau Server or Tableau Online, where you're able to then publish the data and people can log in more through a web portal and experience it that way. So we'll kind of walk through the desktop product a little bit, how you can see the data, manipulate the data, and use it to build visualizations, and then we'll get in a little bit into the online browser-based product. So what we have here, just opened up the Tableau desktop product here, and what you can see is you open it up, it's connected to the data. We're at this point, you can see we've got some titles, you can add some graphics, some pictures, that kind of thing. You've got metrics, so you can build metrics, KPIs, things that you want to track, put them on a dashboard. You also have the ability to create filters, so just some examples, date filters, filters on class, subclass, customers, vendors, salesperson. Basically, if it's an attribute that you've got in the data, you can use it as a filter. If you're familiar with the data structure in Visual Produce, if you're using a lot of the maintenance screens, a lot of the times, all those fields on the AR, customer master, vendor master, item master, those are all great filtering options. And then you've got the individual visualizations, vizzes, views, that kind of thing that you can then interact with. So what you'll see is if I filter down to a specific class, like let's go find lettuce, the lettuce item class, and then you can see all of our metrics updated because of that one filter, all of these related vizzes updated to reflect that data. So we can see geographically where have we been selling our lettuce, a gradient color where the darker green is where we've had more sales, lighter green, fewer sales. Built a little margin versus extended price. So yeah, it's great to have a bunch of sales volume, but what kind of margin are we getting out of it? And then if you hover over, you can get a little bit more of a deep dive into what are in this case, the customers that make up those different points. So that you can see, okay, which customers am I both doing high volume of total sales that are also driving a lot of the margin for this specific item class. And then this visualization we have down here at the bottom is where we're just showing a little bit of a time lapse. So month over month, here in this data set, we've got data from late 2018, primarily 2019. But you can imagine if you're able to pull all of your data together, you could have 5-10 years worth of historical data. And what you can see from this little shaded area on the graph, this is actually a forecast with some confidence interval. So obviously with 1 year worth of data, there's not really enough there to give a high confidence forecast. But if you had 10 years worth of data, you'd be able to see that cyclicality throughout the year, growth year over year that builds into a forecast looking at the future. And all that's powered directly by the business intelligence tool. Getting into some of our other examples, you've got dashboards that are showing you, maybe I want to see the top 10 customer, top 10 salespeople. In this case, we only have 5 salespeople, but we can see them ranked by, their sales, state, city, county. There's a lot of, geographic properties that you can report on. And then by item, what are our best-selling items? You can do it by margin, you can do it by price, you can do it by, okay, what's our highest cost, some of those things, but all different ways. And then again, the interactivity as you build these different views that you want to see, the data slices, and then you can link them all together so that if I say, well, I don't want to see the top 10, I want to see the top 4, you plug that in and now it updates it right there for you. Very easy, very seamless, and really easy as you roll this out across your company base of, you could have people in a variety of different departments that, they don't understand all the data. They don't understand how to pull all the data together to create the reports, but you give them this dashboard and they can get the information they need without having to be a data scientist. Similar to salesperson, we can get into the salesperson dashboard of, each salesperson could go in and see what their performance is. Okay, how are all of my individual customers doing? Here we've got a lot of a lot of peaks and troughs here. So we're, looks like this salesperson is really doing a great job at the beginning and end of the month, and then just hanging out for most of the rest of the month. But we've got that. We've got, where are they selling to? So you may have salespeople that are concentrated on a geography or a commodity or a certain product, and you'd be able to see that come out in the data. But they could also, just want to see, well, I just want to see a few months worth of how things have been going, track my progress, track my sales. How am I trending versus what my historical has been, to then know where do they need to focus next? Where do they maybe need, what products maybe are they, really pushing or seeing the best margin that drives the business that may drive their own commission. So again, putting data in the hands of the users and then letting them use it to make decisions. Because it's one thing to enter a sales order. You put in some line items, maybe you're using pricing, maybe you're doing some spot pricing, and then you're making sales. But being able to aggregate it and see, how did I do over the last year? Or what was I doing this time last year? Or this time the last 3 years? Very powerful tool to go out and sell, or even what customers maybe aren't ordering. Sales comparisons. This for example, I want to see month to date versus last month to date. So reference back to February, and we can see customers like this AZ2208. This period, we doubled the volume so far that we did the prior month. That's great. Somebody is selling and growing that customer. There's probably others like this case. This customer, we've, at this point in the month, we've done a quarter or 20% of the volume that we did last month. What's going on? Let's have a call and help you identify those strategic customers that you really want to work closer with. Same thing with commodities. It could be that throughout the year certain commodities pick up and others drop. But ultimately, how are we doing? Are we doing better? Are we selling better than, maybe it's not a month to date. Maybe we want to look at it for the year. So lettuce, okay, we're holding steady as far as this year where we were at this time last year. Berries, looks like we need to pick up. Were we running a sale? Were we running specials? Was there difference in product quality where people were buying from us instead of buying from the competition? I've got kids sitting downstairs eating blueberries. They're not saying no to berries. So where are the customers getting their berries from? But again, the ERP has these reports that help you run your business day to day. This type of tool really helps you take a step back and look at aggregate and really visualize it so you can quickly pick out where do I need to focus. And just kind of quickly running through some of these others. Sales over time. This is really nice to see what are the trends. You could filter by customer, item class. Maybe it's even what do Mondays look like throughout the year? It looks like from January to December, in general, we see a general uptrend. So people are buying more on Mondays. What about Fridays? Fridays kind of look like they're all over the place. A little slower during the summer. Schools get out, that kind of thing. But then the rest of the year it's picking back up. And then year over year, again, we got all the dates, got all the data there. Your teams are entering all this data. Let's put it to use, putting together these trend charts that, you can watch these and say, okay, great. In, 2020, we're into February with this data set. How are we compared to last year? What do we need to hit in March to achieve our 10% growth numbers? Are we on track to that? That's the kind of stuff that VP Analytics is going to help you answer and make available to your whole team. And then, even detailed drill downs are helpful. We've got a customer, we've got some invoices. If I want to jump in and say, well, what made up this invoice? This tool offers the interactivity to build where these visualizations are tied together. They link together and allow you to drill down into the data without having to go make 5 or 10 different visits to get what you need. So as you can see from here, there's lots of, you can do these types of crosstabs data charts. You can do visualizations, bar charts, line charts. But at this point, you're probably thinking, well, it's great. This was something that you pre-made. How easy is it to really go and do this? So let's just quickly take and make a quick sales chart over time. You'll have to have some familiarity with how the Visual Produce database works, but let's look at over time. So we'll grab our invoice date and we'll throw it up here. So you can see it's drag and drop. Okay, well maybe we'll get some more data and then we can decide how we want to see it. Price. Let's get our extended price. So right here, extended price. Throw it on there. And look, okay, it put together a visualization. Well, as it is right now, that's not real helpful. But maybe I want, time across the bottom. Okay, I can start to see that now because I know I'm looking at time as we go left to right. Well, let's change it to, instead of just being by year, I want to see it by week. How are we doing week over week? And what we can see from this, if I move some of this stuff, is, okay, we don't have a lot of 18th data, the 2018, but we've got a lot of, we can see, again, slows down a little bit as we start getting into May, June, July, and then it picks back up. We can even filter out 2018 if we don't want to see it. So let's go ahead and throw a filter on here. And let's just say I want to do the last 12 months. So right there, we've got the last 12 months of data showing us week by week sales that just came together just like that. Again, drag and drop. Had to know some of what the fields are in VP, but not a lot of other data science type work. I didn't have to write any code. I didn't have to do a lot of work to get a visualization here. And then even if I wanted to change it, maybe I don't want to see it as a line chart. Maybe I want to see it as a bar chart. Again, I flip it on Xaxes, and now I can see trends over time. Maybe just a dot chart. We can see the movement over time. But just again, as you can see, the interface is really easy to use, really fast to learn, and it allows you to get in there, and whether you're answering one question of, hey, I just need to know, I just want to do an ad hoc, how did things go last month? You can build it really fast, but you also have the ability to go in and build some of these other dashboards that you may use, maybe in your weekly staff meetings, maybe in your monthly strategy sessions. You can pull these up, the data, updates from the database, and you've got the information you need right at your fingertips to use as you're having those discussions. Now, jumping into the browser product, I've got it right here. You log in, you can use it from Safari, Edge, Chrome. But what you have is you can build these little projects. So I have a VP Analytics project, and then I can throw all my workbooks in here. So if we go look at this AR dashboard, you'll see all these visualizations that I just was walking through. And if I open one of these up, we'll go to the top AR dashboard. It'll load. This has the ability to refresh from your database. So you can have it refresh every morning at 6 a.m. before the sales team gets in there. You could have it, in some cases, you may want to see it every 15 minutes. You can schedule the data to update, on whatever frequency you want. But the interaction, it's the same. I want to see the top 3. If I do that, it updates just like I was showing in the desktop product. And as I go through, I've got the ability to interact with any of these visualizations. And there's even a mobile app. So if I have this out there and maybe I'm in the field or I'm traveling and I've got my tablet or my iPhone in my hand and I want to look at this data, hey, how did things go last night? I can pull that up on the mobile app and have the exact same interactivity. So very powerful product. You can even set alerts, subscribe. So if you have a visualization that you want to get emailed to you, you just say, I want to subscribe to this and I want to receive it daily at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it shows up in my inbox. I subscribe, and then at 1 o'clock, I'll get an email with this with the dashboard, refresh with what the latest data is, ready for me to, you know, look at it, make decisions, make the phone calls if I need to, find out what's going on, how'd things go. Or in this case, I'm a salesperson. I want to know what my numbers are. Who do I need to call today? So, but as you can see, there's an incredible amount of functionality. I mean, training and getting your hands into all the minutia and all the details and all the power this has to offer, we're not going to be able to do in 20 minutes, unfortunately. But I'm hoping that this has given you a little bit of a sneak peek into being able to use dashboards, being able to create dashboards, being able to serve them up to your company and your team so that they can use it and get the power of the data. And it doesn't require you to go out and be a data scientist in order to accomplish that. So any questions, anything on what I showed or didn't show, or any questions you may have?
Maybe let's talk a little bit, Peter, about the exporting capabilities
Yeah.
from any report that's created. You talked about subscriptions, maybe the exporting capabilities or the printing capabilities.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you've got in the browser product, you've got this download and you can pull it out as an image. So if you want to, you know, copy it and just send a picture, you can get it as a PDF. You know, pick your size and it'll download that PDF. You can also spit these out as a PowerPoint presentation. So if you're getting ready for a presentation, you've got a few slides that you made. So like this example is a PDF ready to be delivered out to whoever you need to share it with or print it out. But yeah, in PowerPoint, you can get the Tableau workbook if you need to do a little bit of work to it. A lot of different ways to pull it out. And then even in the desktop product, there's a lot of ways to, you know, you can print it out, you can export it here, export it as a PowerPoint. A lot of different ways to deliver the data once you have it prepared.
And how can the data be loaded in? So obviously most of what we're showing today is being powered by the data from Visual Produce. What about from other sources like Excel or maybe HR systems? If some of our clients are using different payroll systems, they're not using our payroll or different HR systems.
Yeah. Yes, there's a ton of ways to pull data in. I mean, what I'm used to using is I connect to the Visual Produce database. I connect to some of our internal proprietary just operations tools. The team's updating Google Sheets. I connect to a Google Sheet and I pull data in. I connect to an Excel file. You see, you can pull in JSON. It can analyze PDFs. If you've got information in a few different SQL servers, you can connect all those. And then, you know, there's a huge list here and they're always updating these. And if you don't have a direct connection that's described here, like, you know, Microsoft SQL Server, Google Sheets, if you've got an ODBC connection, you can connect to the data that way, pull it in, join it together, and then as the industry likes to say, slice and dice it. A few of the things I didn't talk about, these are all dashboards where you have multiple visualizations all on a single view. You can also just have one graph, you know, let's keep it simple. Don't make it too complicated. You know, here's an example of this is one view. It's got a lot of data on it, but, you know, those of us that have a tendency to export things out to Excel and play with them, you know, Tableau can handle that. VP Analytics can build those types of visualizations so that you don't have to, you know, kick everything out to Excel all the time.
So what are the most common reports you see some of our customers creating or wanting created out of the box?
Yeah, I think the most common, that's a good question. The most common, a lot of it is sales, right? Revenue drives the business. You got to manage your costs. You got to, you know, drive your profitability, but you got to keep sales coming in the door and then flowing to the bottom line. And that's why I like to start off with and show the sales dashboards, is because a lot of it is, okay, great. I can have a sales number, but is that where I need to be? So again, today versus last week, today versus, how are we doing through the month so far against the same month last year? Are we on track for the year? Are we on track for the quarter? That's a lot of, and even by commodity, right? I need to know what are the commodities that are really driving the business today, and do we need to make strategic decisions to grow certain commodities? Like if we just look at the data here, okay, lettuce is a big driver. Is the market saturated on that? Or are we still able to use that as a growth lever? Can we, what are we just selling a little bit of that's not driving a lot? Herbs, some of the tropical fruit, some of that. Is there an opportunity to grow that business, scale it up, where maybe we're getting, 5% growth year over year in lettuce, but if we do some campaigns, we can push out, I don't know, kale was, it's been really hot, right? Can we, that was a few years ago, the kale revolution. I've got it grown in my backyard now. Everybody wants to eat kale in their Caesar salads. Well, how do we grow kale? How do we do how are we selling it? What are our volumes, and what do we need to do to push it even more? So yeah, usually it's all conversations around sales. And then the other piece is, if you're in a processing organization, getting to see the conversion of raw materials into finished costs and, trending those over time, especially if you can track number of changeovers, being able to measure what's the cost of that changeover relative to, and how does that factor into product cost?
Thank you. And does every user have to, kind of have the knowledge to set up reports and create, know the database structure? Are there different user structures where different users might have different access points?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Good question. Yeah, so you'll want at least one person that has a good understanding of the ERP data structure, understanding the transaction tables and where the data is coming from. But you'd have one person in the organization that really understands it well, and they're able to, build out these reports and these visualizations in the desktop product, serve them up in that browser product, and then be consumed across the organization. The nice thing about the browser product is you can do some limited editing and changes. So you may have, the power users that can build things from scratch. You may have, influencers, for lack of a better term, that, may want to do some tweaks here and there for specific use cases. But then you may have a huge part of the organization, I just need to see the information. Just let me access it, where they can't get in there and change a dashboard and move things around, and maybe the data doesn't mean anything anymore, but they're able to use it. So yeah, there are different user levels with different privileges, and you're, the power user in the browser product is able to control who has access to what reports, so that you're not giving out everything to everybody, and then also who can do what level of activity, so you don't have someone accidentally mess up a dashboard when they were just trying to change a filter. Yeah, good question.
And how often does the data refresh? Is that something you can control? Is that something the users can control?
Yes, you're able to actually, we have all these schedules, and you're able to go in and just pick the refresh timing that you want. So like in this example, I don't have any data sources, but usually there's a schedule for every hour, and then we, if you're using the hosted instance, we can create whatever schedule you need. But yeah, you have a lot of control over when extracts refresh, and just to feel, as I've gone through and set up different dashboards for Silver Creek to use internally, and working with our customers that use the product, I've seen everything from, okay, we need this for our monthly sales meeting. Okay, well, let's just have the data update once a month. Some we need once a week on Mondays, so that everybody gets their prior week data. Some once a day. I need to know when I come in at 7 a.m. what happened in the last 24 hours. And then the other is, every 10, 15 minutes, I need to see what's going on. Where are we at on sales? The old thermometer chart that people go drawing on the wall. You can do that here. Update the sales data every 15 minutes. Where are we at for the day? And are we on track, ahead of schedule, behind? What action do we need to take? Yep. Yeah, a lot of control on when data refreshes.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
So we probably have we have just a couple more minutes here for just opening up the floor to general questions. If there's a report or something that you would like to see, how might that look? So we talked about processing reports, we talked about sales reports. If there's any kind of specific report that anybody on the line right now would like to see, please let us know. We're happy to show you how we could create that right now. We obviously talked, you know, inventory reports are also pretty important, and just, you know, focusing on a key inventory, you know, key inventory products or key inventory sales. And so we can touch a little bit on that as well. But feel free to chime in if anyone has any questions. Simply unmute yourself, or there is a chat feature as well that we've enabled that we can access questions as well. So what are you showing us here, Peter?
Yeah, so here's just, as we start talking about inventory, you know, obviously you may have people that are wanting to see sales, but there could be other people in the organization that they need to be tracking volume, but more on the cost center side. So what are we doing on sales from a cost standpoint over time? That's what we're looking at in this chart. And then looking at it, you know, one way is, you know, by weekday. So, you know, here is just Sunday, how are things looking over time? So that is a common question I get of seasonality, and seasonality could be, you know, this month compared to this month last year. Some of it is this year versus last year. Some of it is the day of the week. What's the day of the week mix that needs to change? And you can do that. This is just showing, you know, essentially the costs over time. You know, maybe you're not in the sales organization, they're not wanting to show revenue, but you know, from a cost standpoint, how much cost are we getting out? Product volume. So this is showing incoming versus outgoing, incoming versus outgoing. So you can see where you have, you know, the receipts on top, the issues in bottom, generally they're mirroring each other. If you spot an outlier, it means we're holding on to product and we're not able to, you know, get it out. So that's going to just increase inventory or ultimately, you know, result in us having to dump product and not realize revenue on it.
Hey, Peter, can you
Yeah.
create a report that would, like every morning, send out to some kind of a mobile device, just a simple little report, and just automatically send it out every morning?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, an example of that would be, we get in here, we look at let's look at some of our sales views. Sales over time. So I just want to see this every day. Every day I want to see it sent out. Subscribe, daily, 1 o'clock. So it's going to go out. It's going to go out to your email. You can pull it up on any device you have access to your email and be able to see what this sales data looks like. So yeah, you can absolutely, yeah, easy delivery anywhere that you have an internet connection. The data is going to be refreshed, the report's going to be refreshed, and it's going to get sent out without you having to touch it.
Great, thank you. We also have another question that, are you able, so we talked a bit about the appearance of how you can change something from a graph to a line to a pie chart. Are you able to change any other kind of visual component on the report? Like an example, we have the little logo, Visual Produce Analytics. Are you able to kind of change that?
Yeah, so there's a huge amount of visual customization that you can do. Everything from, you know, I want to use my, you know, maybe you have a branding theme and you need to use your own fonts. Well, you can go in here and change whatever font, change the size, you know, colors, and then you can, you know, use some of the other attributes on the worksheets. But yeah, you can even add a web page. So if I, you know, create a new dashboard, throw a web page on here. Maybe throw, you know, you can throw images, you can throw buttons that link. Look, there you go. You can have your own web page display right in the visualization along with, the sheet we just created. So sales with our website.
Cool.
Throw on images, throw on buttons. So buttons are really nice because you can create a single landing page. Maybe everybody who logs in gets taken to a certain dashboard, but then you can add these, let's create a dashboard. You can add these buttons that allow you to, add a hyperlink. So you can change a lot of the attributes on the button, but you can actually link these to other sheets. So you can think of it as you have a dashboard, maybe it has some visualizations on it, but then it has some of these buttons. And once you publish that to the website, then users can easily just navigate by clicking those buttons to move around, to make it really easy, really accessible, and kind of lead them where you want them to go. So yeah. Any other questions here?
We have one more question about how many people can be in the portal at one time, and yeah, if multiple people can be using running reports or generating reports or creating reports at the same time.
Oh yeah, there's not a limitation. I mean, you've got a certain number of users, but besides that, as long as you've got user accounts, you can log into the online portal. Number of licenses, that limits the number of people that can be building reports simultaneously. Yeah. Good question.
Fantastic. I think that's all the questions that I have. We will be converting the webinar here over to it will be available through the United Fresh, our expo booth. So you'll see a new option that we created last night that will have these webinar videos available for you. And we will also be sending all webinar videos out in an email in our newsletter at the end of the week after Thursday when we've completed all the webinars. So if you have any questions, just feel free to send us an email at info@silvercreek.com. We are also available right now during the Expo Power Hours for the United Fresh Show. Great seeing everybody. Thank you so much for attending, and we look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow as we dive into our mobile applications.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.